Hello everyone and welcome to my new video. And what is this video about? Well, we're going to get started with some very basic visuals in Max for Live. This is something I get asked to do quite a lot and I've put it off for a while for technical reasons, but I think I've solved the technical issues now and we should be able to do a nice video about it. And what's it going to be about? Well, basically I'm just going to make a very basic visualizer that will run in Max for Live. It won't react to audio. We can maybe tackle that later. This is really basic. It's just going to sit running in the background and do its own thing. And it's kind of like a Winamp visualizer. If you're old enough to remember Winamp, it was a media player around the late 90s that had some cool little visualizer kind of plugins that you could run in it. This is basically just going to be something like that. It's a little basic little thing that you'll turn it on and it will run synced to Ableton, and it'll be cool, and it might be something to get your feet wet in doing Jitter programming. Now, there is something quite important that I need to discuss here, and that is that if you have a Max for Live license, it's possible that you may not be able to preview Jitter patches from inside the Max for Live editor. Now, in order to patch and preview Jitter patches from inside the Max for Live editor, I think you need to have Jitter authorized, which means that you might have to go and buy a full Max license, which I think you should do anyway because it's just a really good program. So I have a full Max license, which means that the way that this patch behaves may be slightly different to yours if you have a regular Max for Live license. However, you should still be able to follow along parrot fashion with this patch, and you will still be able to run the patch because any kind of Max patch, regardless of whether you have MaxMSP or not, will run in Max for Live if you have a Max for Live license. I hope that makes sense. So if you try to do this patch and it doesn't work, just bear that in mind. Anyway, so what are we going to do? We'll go to Max for Live, we'll go to our Max for Live tab, we'll pull in a Max instrument. This is going to be just a really basic Max instrument. Let's open up the editor and okay, so let's go. Let's jump into the gray box. Right, so what do I want? Well, I don't really need to worry too much about this stuff at the moment, but I'll leave it there anyway. What I'm going to do is I'm going to explore jit.noise. It's remembered me from earlier. Jit.noise. Now, jit.noise generates noise that go into a matrix. If you don't know what matrices are, go and read up about matrices. Let's just quickly do jit.matrix. I think I'm going to use a matrix later. Jit.matrix is a thing. Go and read up about that. So now we need, because it's a matrix, we need to give it some certain types of arguments. We need to give it a plane count, which I think I'm going to give 4 planes. We need to give the type of data. I think this is going to be float 32. And then we need to give it some dimensions. You know what? I'm just gonna copy the thing from the help file. I'm just going to copy that because you know what? You can just copy anything from the old help file. Let's copy that. Let's copy, paste. All right. Whoa. Okay. So I'll just take out that Q metro for now. Take out that. So put a bang in there. We got a jit.noise with a 4 planes. That's the type of data. That stands for character. Then we should have some dimensions, 320 by 240. Supports all plane counts. Okay, so now if I bang this, we get some noise. Okay, got some noise there. So if I change these dimensions, actually, let's have a little... this is an attrui box, otherwise known as an attribute box, and this is where we can change some dimensions here. Let's go to 10 by 10. Excuse me. Cool, look at that. All right. That's neat. So let's use that. Let's use that in our little visual patch. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to feed that into a jit dot, I think it's greater than or less than. Not sure what that little math symbol is. I think that means less than. I'm not very good at maths. Okay, so I'm going to give that a value of 0.9. This won't work because I need to change the data type of data here to float 32. I find it a little bit easier to work in 0 to 1. Okay, so basically what this little guy here is going to do is that it's going to only pass through values that are within, I should say, under that number. So that must be less than. We'll find out. I might be wrong. Let's just experiment, yo. Who cares? Okay. It didn't work. Okay, let's try 0.5. Oh, maybe I need to bang that as well. No. Great. Okay, let's bring back that Q Metro 30. That's the frames per second. Let's turn that on and let's work out what's going on here, right? Let's pop a float in here. No, okay. Let's try the other way. I can't remember. It's been a long time since I did this patch. Worked out what it was, my bad. So let's do that again. Let's go, zoom in a bit more. Okay, let's go jit.greater than, and then we need to go at val, that's the value. So I'm gonna go at value 0.75. So what that is gonna do is only pass through noise data, matrix data for each of those cells in that matrix that are greater than 0.75 or less than 0.75. I don't know. Mathematicians out there tell me. So I think now if I pop this in here, okay, we can adjust this very finely right up to 9.9 where we get little sprinkles. So it's only letting through some of this noise data. If we go change the dimensions here to, whoops, not to 100. Let's change that to 10 and to 10. Okay. So actually, why don't we put the dimensions in here as 10 by 10? Okay, cool. So now we've got this little sort of retro teletext kind of arcade sort of pixel rave, which is kind of fun. So what we could maybe do now is, rather than use a Q metro, we could use a regular metro. Whoops, not message. Metro at active 1. And let's say it's going at 4N. So that is going to give me a bang every time. Oh, it's doing it anyway. That's kind of weird. Let's just jump back to Ableton a second. So at active 1 means that the metro should start when the transport starts. Let's see what we have now. That is not what I expected. Oh, I'm a bit ropey at max these days. Okay, let's try 4N at active 1. There we go. All right, so cool. It works. Right, so yeah, I mean, that's kind of fun, but let's make it a bit more fun. So let's keep all of this. So yeah, we can kind of use this here as a little sort of threshold for how much noise data comes through. So if we pull this all the way down to, I don't know why the white increases, but if we kind of go down to like 0, we just get white. Anyway, let's pop it back to 0.99. Let's go 0.9. Okay. So what now? Well, we could maybe pass this into a kind of feedback network, like a video feedback network. So I just need to think for a minute how I remember to do that. I might just pause. I've remembered. We need to create a new matrix and we're going to give it a name. I'm going to call it feed. And that should be enough for now. And then I'm going to create a Q metro and we're going to bang this matrix separate of this one. Even though that's noise, it's a matrix. It generates noise data in a matrix. We're going to feed that into another matrix. We're going to process it and then feed it back into itself and look at the result. So let's turn the Q metro on. We need to bang the processes separately from this one, otherwise we won't get what we want. So, okay, what could we use? I'm going to use jit.rotor, which is a really, really fun, but can get a little bit fiddly to use. We have to pull up loads of Atrui boxes. It's like this thing here so that I can work out what I'm doing. And then we will feed that back into the same matrix. So we've duplicated the matrix here, and that will create our feedback loop. So you can have as many matrices as you want with the same name, and they will kind of all feed back and interact with each other. So a little word of advice here, you don't want to use too many P windows because they really screw your CPU. Also, we are using regular jitter, which also runs on the CPU. Really, you want to consider doing jit.gl, which runs on the GPU, which means that all the processing on the visuals is separated from your audio processing, which will help with performance issues. More on that later. Right. Okay, I need to feed that into here now, and we get this. So this is just basically the same as what we have over here. But if we start to fool around with this stuff, so we've got loads and loads and loads of things here. Let's try offset X and offset Y. Let's zoom in a bit here and let's see what we get. Okay. Okay, we get some... Okay, I think maybe what we might need to do is take out this and we'll put in a jit.slide and we'll go at slide down 2. Not sure it needs to be a float, but let's do it anyway. Okay. Okay, there we go. So we're starting to get somewhere now. All right. Okay, so actually, let's use the... Okay, let's take these guys out. And I'm going to do prepend zoom underscore X, I think. Let me just have a quick look here. Zoom underscore X, and we'll do zoom underscore Y, and there's probably a more eloquent way to do this. This is just what's coming to mind right now. Okay, let's pop a float in here, and let's put this to 1. But now let's dial it back ever so slightly. Okay. Okay, that hasn't worked as I'd expected. Maybe we need to set our anchor points. So let's go to anchor X and anchor Y. And I think they need to be either the same. Let's try, our dimensions are 10 by 10. Let's try 10 and let's try 10. Okay, no, let's try 5 and let's try 5. Okay. Let's increase our dimensions. Let's go for 100 by 100 and let's set the anchor here to 50 and this one to 50. Ah, there we go. That's looking a little bit more interesting. Let's pop this up to, whoa, okay, cool. All right, now we're getting some rave. Okay. Let's increase this threshold here by, by 0.999. Okay, let's maybe just dial that down a bit, 0.99. Okay, there we go. So we've kind of got a little bit of rave there. It's all right. So yeah, we can start to sort of screw around with the zoom here. So if you have that zoom on 1, then it should zoom nowhere. If you have it over 1, then it'll sort of zoom out or towards you, and if you have it beneath 1, it'll zoom away. Okay, kind of fun. So let's look at the theta. The theta means that we can, where are you? There we go. Means that we can kind of twist it round. There we go. Woo. This is so Windows DOS. Look at that. I love this. Okay, so why don't we use our, let's zoom out a little bit here. Why don't we use our Metro here to bang some random values? So let's think about this for a minute. Maybe let's do random. I'm going to say 100, but then I'm going to scale that, scale 100, whoops, to let's say minus 0.5 to 1.5. So that's gonna, I probably could have done that another way, but let's just have a look, see what that does. Okay, cool. Yeah. So that's just randomizing the zoom on the X and Y. Let's do the same for the theta. So I'm not entirely sure what the maximum value is for the theta. I think it's roughly about 6. It's some complicated maths figure that I don't know. So I'm just going to say random 5. Take that, bang. And actually, probably a better way to do this would do prepend theta. Let's take that random bang, pop that into our rotor. Cool. All right. So you can see it's randomizing the theta there. Cool. Yeah, it's good. Okay, we don't need that anymore. So we could increase the slide here, which will kind of make the feedback more severe. Or we can have it on 0, and we kind of just get these spurts, which is okay. Let's maybe set it to 3. Let's try 3. Yeah, it's cool. Actually, let's try 2. 2 was what I had it on. Well, why did I even bother? Right, okay. So now we need to think about a way to get that into the outside world so that we can wang it on our projector and show it to our ravers. I'm just going to have a quick vape break. I'm also just going to change this here to 0.99. Get rid of that. I'm going to set these to be, whoops, I'm going to set these to permanently be dimensions of 10 by 10. Sorry, 100 by 100. Delete that. Okay, I want to keep this quite basic. It's going to be like kind of fully automated. We'll just have like a big toggle for our on-off button. Okay, so yeah, now we need to get this into the outside world. So probably we want to use jit.world. And we'll have that at floating, whoops, at floating 1, which will give us a floating window. So let's take our giant toggle here, put that into our jit.world. Now we need to get this into something that jit.world can recognize. So jit.world is separate from Jitter. Jit.world is more for OpenGL stuff. So we need to use an OpenGL object, a jit.gl object, in order to get our matrix splurges here into jit.gl. I think we're going to use jit.gl.videoplane. And we don't, normally you would need to give it a name. Let's maybe give it a name. Let's give the name poo. And let's give this one the name poo. So they all have to have the same name. Now, if I plug this into here, we should get nothing. Haha, I didn't turn it on. There we go. Okay, cool. There we go. Now, it's a little bit strange. I think maybe I need to do at transform reset 2. I don't know why I have to do that, but I see lots of people do it. So that's basically scaled it to the window. Okay. Sweet. So that's basically it. I think I probably want to get rid of that at full screen. No, not that. What is it? FSA? No. FS menu bar to 0. So that means that when we maximize that, oh, it hasn't done that. Oh, maybe it's 1. Maybe it's at FS menu bar 1. Okay, well, that hasn't worked as expected. Basically, what that should do is when you maximize it on your second screen or your projector, you won't get this little title bar across the top. Anyway, go and research these things. I'm not going to bore you with details. Okay, so that's basically it, really. Yeah, so I guess now all we need to do is just sort of pack this into something that we can just drop in and use. So maybe what I'll do is I'll just take the toggle and the P window here. I'll do Command-Shift-P. That'll add that to the presentation. Oh, I tell you what, I probably should give the rotor the anchor arguments, anchor X50 and at anchor, whoops, anchor Y50. Okay, let's go into presentation mode and let's just pop that there and pop that there. Let's go to the inspector window for the patch and just quickly jump to basic, go open in presentation and then go to view, I think, set device width, zoom out a little bit. Oh, there we go. And then just grab that little line and put that over there like that. All right. Whoops. Where's it gone? Okay. Let's save it. I'm going to save as. Just save it. Well, I'll save it in my Max Instrument folder and I'll just call it Basic Noise Visuals. Basic Noise Visuals. Okay, that's now saved. And then when I close that, there we go. So if I hit stop now and hit go, it'll start. So let's pull in like something. Let's just pull in some drum loop. Oh my goodness me, that was loud. Okay, let's just drop that into maybe not that loop. Let's try something else. I just love old drum and bass loops. Look how many I've got. It's ridiculous. Here we go. There's a slight delay there in that metro starting. Anyway, it works. It's basic. This is a basic introduction. Maybe we'll make more complicated ones later. So there you go. A really, really basic start at doing visuals with Jitter in Max 4 Live. So, yes, follow along with that patch. It should work if you don't have a full version of Max. If you're too lazy to follow along, I'm going to go and put this on my Patreon page now. You can pay me a little bit of money to download this. I don't know what is wrong with my throat today. You can support me on Patreon if you want and download this and other things, and that would be really great, and you'd be helping me stay alive. That's a little bit dramatic. I have a normal day job, but one day I'd like to maybe quit my day job and do YouTube videos full time. And then you can have lots of things like this. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that and I hope that was useful, and we can turn that off and turn that back on again. Hooray! Okay, see you soon for more stuff. Bye.